So this video is going to be addressing question 3, part A. So it's just talking about the graph. So some of you did this part of the test incorrectly, so we're just going to quickly run through it. So up at the very top corner here, we have the different descriptions of the things that we needed to know. So in the question, we're told what the prices are, we're told what the quantity demanded are, we're also told about quantity supplied. So we can see from that this row here is going to be our equilibrium, because it's where our quantity demanded and our quantity supply meet. So therefore we know that the price at equilibrium is going to be 60. So just to remind ourselves of what those two things are, quantity demanded and supplied. So at our quantity demanded, that's what people are willing to pay. And our quantity supplied are what shops are willing to sell at. So when we look at our graph here, so first of all, we notice that our quantity supplied is vertical, which means it's fixed. They're not selling dependent on price, or they're selling at a fixed quantity. And because they're selling at a fixed quantity, that results in our supply curve being vertical. The demand curve then, which, guys, I have to apologize, was not done with the ruler. And I know I'd be the first one to critique you as if it wasn't done, but we'll forgive and forget on this occasion. So our demand curve then is as always downward sloping. And our price here, which we know at equilibrium, if it was done out perfectly correctly on graph paper, we'd see it matches over with €60. So this is a graph that all of you had done particularly well. The only issue now is the second part of the question. We were asked, identify where in this graph is our total revenue and where is our consumer surplus. So just to go over here our definitions. So total revenue is the total income that you received from sales. That's our definition of it. So how do we calculate it? It's price, or selling price, multiplied by the quantity that's sold. So if we were to go here, well, if we were to work out what our total revenue is, we know that there was a quantity sold is 400, and we know that a price of €60 was received. So that means that everything out here, from here on out, everything out as far as 400 was sold, and it went right up as far as the €60. So actually everything below €60 is now sold, or is now sold, which is classed as total revenue. So this here will be our total revenue. Okay. Then to remind ourselves again of what consumer surplus is. So consumer surplus is the difference between the price paid for a good or service and the maximum price that a consumer was willing to pay for that good or service. So if we look at our graph, well, we know that the consumers paid €60 for a good, but some of them were willing to pay €100. Here, some of them were willing to pay €80. So this area here is our consumer surplus. Why? Because people were willing to pay a lot more than what they did pay. So we say that one more time. So here we have our demand curve, which tells us what people are willing to pay. So we have people willing to pay 100, 99, 98, the whole way down. People are willing to pay 80 here. People are willing to pay 70 here. But they all paid a fixed price of 60. So this area here represents our consumer surplus. It represents how people paid 60 but were willing to pay a hell of a lot more. Some of them willing to pay 100. So that's the difference between what they were willing to pay and what they did pay, which we call consumer surplus. So in our graph, we should have, which all of you labeled it very correctly, and all of you did your curves correctly. The only issues were these two things. So our consumer surplus, which was here, and this part here, which is our total revenue, is our shaded in pink part here. Okay, and guys, if you have any more questions on the test or on the practice questions that I've just emailed you, make sure to ask and we'll upload another video.